Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's uLaw webinar. The topic for today's webinar is analytics and insights within the uLaw platform. Today's webinar is not accredited for any CPD credits. Just thought I should highlight that. But we do again have our CPD accredited webinars coming up in the coming weeks. Today's presentation or webinar is going to be a combination of slide shares as well as an actual demonstration of the key capabilities of the platform, more specifically focused on the analytical and data insights capabilities as well. So if you're a current user of uLaw, this is maybe a feature that you can benefit from. If you're someone who's looking for a legal accounting practice management software, hopefully this is a bit of a informational session where you get a feel for the type of platform that we're in. We're a Canadian company based out of Ottawa, legal accounting, practice management, and business accounting built into one platform with court forms automation for the provinces of Ontario, and we're building it for other provinces as well. That's what we do, and we've been doing this successfully over the past 11 years, serving thousands of customers across the country. Like every other uLaw webinar, today's webinar has a specific agenda, and we'll definitely go through the two key capabilities that are built right into the platform. There's no additional cost for these features or functionalities. They're just readily available for you to take complete advantage of. And these features are meant to provide you and your colleagues and others in your business a complete 360 view of your business data. And the representation of this data is as we present to you in the form of graphs, in the form of better representation beyond the core capabilities around Law Society compliance reporting. So in our previous webinars, I've spoken about the need for us to record transactions as and when it happens, to be able to report the documentation of these transactions in the Law Society guideline documents such as ledgers and journals. And today we're going to talk about, let's leave the compliance alone for a minute. Let's look at some of the interesting data points that you've collected as a business and how this data can then now help you make better informed decisions for the betterment of your business. So analyzing the unknown, a lot of data that we provide you, of course, are related to the accounting aspects of it, the financials of it as well. But hopefully I could walk you through some of the interesting insights that we can also share about the matters and clients that you work with. And I'm sure you've heard of these terms, these lingos, content is king, and so is data in many different businesses, including legal businesses. I'm sure you can appreciate there's a lot of information that's hidden within the data that you collect naturally as part of running your business, right? Financial transactions, client-related transactions, file-related transactions, as well as your operating expenses-related transactions. So the goal for any legal accounting system or practice management system that captures these transactions is to be able to give you a complete view in a consumable manner that's mobile friendly, that's more graphical in terms of how it represents data, and it's slightly off tangent from the traditional Law Society reports that you're probably most used to, right? And that's really the main agenda for today's session. You have the underlying data set, and how that data gets converted into Law Society-related reports, and the same platform, uLaw, gives you now of converting or transforming the same data set in meaningful dashboards, analytics, and insights that are more tailored towards yourself, others who own your business, to consume this data in a faster, easier way, and, of course, act towards a betterment of your business using that information, okay? And when we first started delivering these features and functionalities, again, core to our value of really providing the maximum benefit of our platform towards sole practitioners, small, medium law firms, right? That's really our target audience, and that's the target audience's pain point that we're looking to solve as a company and a business. And when we continue to evolve the feature set, and when we included the analytical component into the uLaw platform, we wanted to really understand the pain point of a solo practitioner, small, medium legal firm or law firm. And when we did a survey, not too maybe a year back, when we asked for kind of the top pain points around data and what best you as an end consumer or a client of ours would like to see, we of course received a lot of feedback in terms of the top 10 or 15 different data components that legal firms are wanting to continuously keep a tab on. And we've taken that feedback. We've already looked at some of the important dashboards that we as a product have to provide, comparing ourselves with, of course, industry leaders and the needs of our clients. And the reason I say all this is there's definitely a reason for why we have what we have in our platform, and that's what you're probably going to see in the next few minutes as I demonstrate it. Okay. The underlying current or the actual importance of everything that we do relates back to empowering you as a sole practitioner as well as a business owner to provide you with insightful data, just-in-time data, so that you can make informed decisions. Now, why is this important? And why should you, of course, consider maximizing the use of this? Now, fundamentally, if you really look at the uLaw platform, we're pretty much taking three different silos of business or operational businesses into a single platform. Okay, so from a legal accounting standpoint, we're capturing data right from a client, and we're providing you with important law society related documents, functions, etc. Right from your searches, right from the different documents, and right from the client search, etc. When we move into the file, we of course provide you with all the law society related documents, right from your retainer letter till the closure. From a practice management standpoint, we're providing you a platform where you can now start to capture all of this information in a single, I would say, solution across devices. So it's not stuck to a single device. You can use this across mobile, web interfaces. And the third aspect of the business, of course, is around the expenses that you incur as a business. That has got not much to do with law society. There are certain boundaries that cross over, but from a really running a business standpoint, we are replacing a business accounting software, which in many ways are a separate business solution in itself. But the value that you as a legal firm get out of this is the information that we capture and the data that you already have within the platform complies to the three specific vertical reasons or business needs of these three regions. So you don't need a separate accounting system. You don't need a separate legal accounting or legal practice management system, and you don't have to use either the manual effort, whether you pay someone to do it or you do it yourself, or additional software to be able to combine data from these three different silos. So the data is already there for you to maximize the use. And that's why it's very important that if you are a current user of uLaw or consider using it, this is probably one of the biggest benefits that you can get out of the system, is the fact that you have a singular, unified view of the data that's important for all these three different silos, provided in a manner that's easily consumable by the stakeholders at the other end of these three silos. Okay? And again, I always give this example. If you look at our expense book, it's certainly a law society compliance document. But if you look at what's comprised within an expense book. It's a combination of disbursements that you'd incur on behalf of a client. So that's related to a client file, more around the legal accounting aspect of it, right? The jurisdictional taxes or not. And on the other side, you also have your operational expenses that you have to incur to run your business, right? From your law society fees to your errors and omissions, maybe your office running expenses, your laptop purchases, right? So all of that is also a part of that expense book. Now, having a singular system that allows you to capture the need of both these different silos and representing it in a way that's meaningful to the stakeholdership is very critical to save time and reduce the amount of effort that you have to put in to generate these different formats of that data. Okay? So if I were to really cut to the chase and highlight some of the important analytical capabilities and the top 10 or 15 data components that our clients have gotten back to us, people who have used the platform for several years and have seen the evolution of it, and what we're seeing in the industry as important capabilities that modern legal firms need, right? So starting right from the top line in terms of the revenue, so we have the ability to give you at a snapshot. You don't have to do the math at a snapshot. Assuming that the data is consistent and current, we can give you the insight and the analytics for all of this at a click of a button. So if you want to know if you're profitable for that week, for that day, for that month, for that quarter, for that year, whatever may be your request, at a click of a button, or maybe a couple of buttons, you should be able to get that answer right away. The same thing goes for your fee book, your P&L. So often we go through a lot of accounting procedures, and we pay a lot of our individuals that work for us to get us these details. And not that we're trying to replace that function, but we're really looking to augment and help you focus on more revenue-generating activities and allow for uLaw to kind of become your backbone to deliver these pieces of information as fast as we can. Now, intriguing sets of insights include the pro bono that you have paid out or you spent by client. So if you really want to know which client has really taken maximum advantage of your Good Samaritanship by providing pro bono hours, you can check that click of a button. If you want to understand your capital investments, if you are a, let's say, small to medium-sized law firm and you have multiple individuals who have contributed or injected capital and have drawn money out of the business, that's a very complex, complicated situation. Or even for you as a sole practitioner, if you're one, you understand that you inject capital into the business, you're drawing money out of the business, but you want to have a better appreciation for what these numbers mean. We're able to provide it to you again at a click of a button. So it's not just the mundane series of analytics that you would expect out of any system. Like anything else, the uLaw platform is tailor-made and focused to the legal practice and the legal practitioners who use it. And hence, you can be rest assured of the nuances that we've covered with regards to your specific needs as a legal practitioner and a legal business owner. Okay? Of course, one of my favorite is the work in progress, to be able to showcase to you, in terms of analytical format, where you are with different client matters and the work in progress that you have. A click of a button, really, that's definitely, I believe, very, very important and definite time saver, right? Not only are we able to show this to you in terms of the web interface, because of our mobile platform that we've invested in, right? We are able to show this to you in the format of the mobile app. So if you download the mobile app, you can pretty much draw all these analytical capabilities right from your mobile app. And believe it or not, that's pretty much all I had to share in terms of slide. And this is what we truly believe as the essence of the company and the essence of the features and functionalities and the support staff that help and sustain the business, is to being able to empower the solo, small, medium-sized legal firms and empower them with the power of the large law firm. And believe it or not, analytics and the data behind this plays a huge part in key decision-making processes, right? Where do you have your maximum expense? Where can you invest heavily on your marketing initiatives? These are very important questions that are constantly being asked by any business owner, and legal businesses are no exception. But given the nature of your business, given the multiple things that you need to handle to run that business, can be a little bit more overwhelming compared to some of the other businesses. And on top of that, there's a huge compliance component that's really over your neck that you need to comply with. Hence, once again, using the right tool to save as much as time as possible, to take away all of those mundane yet important pieces of work that you have to accomplish, is half the battle won, just choosing the right product. And we would love the opportunity to give you as an option to explore. Right? So I'm going to quickly shift gears. Of course, like many other cloud players, we do offer our 30-day trial of our platform for you to give it a test drive, and we do our best to help you understand the product. It's still not as easy as picking up a laptop or a little iPad and working it away. There is a bit of a learning curve with any of these softwares, given the nature of the business and the problem that we're looking to solve. But once you get it, and it's kind of more of a lifelong learning. Let me quickly shift gears so that you can really see what I'm talking about. Definitely you have another 15 minutes or 45 minutes left in my presentation. Now, I would kindly request to make this as meaningful as possible, make this a real two-way street. So if you have any specific questions, we do have our support staff on call on the chat window, or myself that can help walk you through any answers or questions that you may have. Okay? So I'm logged into my fictitious legal practitioner, Mr. Roger Moore. I'm sure you've heard of him and seen many of my demos. So I'm going to walk you through. In my previous webinars, if you've noticed, we've looked at how easy it is to add a client, how easy it is to add matters, how easy it is to generate law society compliant documents. So data has been entered, consumed, reported, and reflected upon. Now what I'm going to show you with the analytics and the insight capabilities is to dig a little bit more deeper and provide that same representation of data in a manner that you, as a layman sole practitioner, may be able to understand. Right? We don't want you to wear a law society hat to consume this. Alrighty. So as a uLaw platform, we of course have our contacts, our matters, where we manage all your clients and your files. And right at the bottom here, we have this tab, readily available, or functionality called Analytics. Right? You may have seen this before. You may sometimes not necessarily recognize the need for it, but we have 22 different dashboard items right here, right from revenue insights all the way to even unbilled legal fee charts. Okay. Now, typically, when you're reporting, let's say a P&L, you could still report this in the traditional document or report structure that you have. Right. So if I wanted to generate a P&L statement I could still do this. So for the month of May, I download and generate a P&L statement in a PDF format. Yeah. Whoops, iPad. My internet is down, eh? But when I'm looking to deliver these analytics, so here is a fee book, okay? Of course, you have all the data. You have right from the 1st of January of this year till now. So for the entire year, you have a fee book. So this is one way of representing it. But let's say I want a different way of looking at this. So I could say fee book insights. So it encompasses the data a little further and gives it to me in a format that's very easy to consume. So total revenue and legal work, $18,000 from the 1st of Jan till date. Okay? So, of course, this would probably be the same. Now, how much of that revenue came in disbursement? How much work was legal work? Right? Because you could have different ways in how you categorize your revenue structure. So the same 22,000 is pretty much what you see here as well. Right? 22,103.77. So that's the same data that you see here, but you can certainly appreciate the formatting in which you're able to see this. So in this document, you don't right away, unless you go through a magnifying glass, you really can't right away say what the maximum revenue is, right? But this can. Second highest, third. I think we've added up to the top 5. Again, so on and so forth. There's so much more, as the word says, insight that we're able to provide you by crunching the same data sets. Right? This is a data set, I call it a data set because imagine this is data pertaining to the fee book. Okay? Which is, let's call it revenue top, for right now. Now let's say I want to do this specific for this month. There you go. Now, let's say I want to take one step further and I want to be able to, again, this is where I start to use my smarts to compare and learn from the data and the information that I've captured in my firm. So I want to compare my insights for the month of May with the insights that I can deliver or get for the month of April. Okay? So I can go back in time and say, I want this for the month of April now. Click a button, and right away you could see, so for the month of April, the total revenue that, again, this is all fictional data with regards to this particular account, but extrapolate this to your own uLaw account. Again, as I said, the fundamentals for any system to be able to represent this, the prudence behind the data really comes down to the consistency and how current the data is, of course, right? But let's assume that is the case. You can see how easy it is for you to compare the insights between the month of April and your target growth for the month of May as it stands today. So today is the 14th, and you see that you have another 2 weeks to accomplish, let's say, at least another $1,600. So maybe you're very well on track. If you want to break it down weekly, you can certainly do that as well, week to week, if you want to compare yourself and see how your weekly progress of revenue is happening. Okay? So, for example, you've done really well in the month of May because almost 88% of your revenue came from legal work compared to the 84%. Right? The highest revenue in the month of April was close to $4,000. whereas you could see in the month of May was significantly lower. So maybe that talks to the quality and the quantity of the revenue that you're getting. And you can pretty much use all these different dashboard elements that we have. We give you a maximum of 6, and you can easily configure this to be 2, 4, anything below 6. It's as simple as telling us across these dashboard elements how many analytical items that you need. You can say I only want 5. And that's what you would get. Okay, so it's fairly easy to navigate and function with. Now you see you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements to work off. No rocket science there, so it's pretty straightforward. But it doesn't stop there. So I've kind of given you a flavor for the ability for you to compare and contrast different date ranges for the same data set, which can be a little bit more tedious when you're dealing with a format such as this. Right? This format was purpose-built for a specific purpose. This is not for immediate review and being able to react to that data. This is retrospection, whereas a different way of retrospecting on a more closer date range would be utilizing the analytical and insight capabilities. What you see within our analytics engine right here is primarily based out of the accounting data that we have, but I'll take you through a quick tour where we show you client and file related as well. Again, revenue insights. And we can do the same thing for your expense. So let's say you want to understand your expense by category, which is which type of expense category that you have most of your expenses. So you can see this is a contrasting different data set. Revenue comes from the legal work and other things that you do, which are more in tune with the legal accounting aspect because it converts file-related dockets into revenue, into invoices, and this is captured revenue. Whereas on the other side of the house, and I say that for a reason because you may be a legal practice utilizing one system for legal accounting. You may be using Xero or QuickBooks for your office expense management. If you were to now take the data sets from 2 different contrasting systems and you have to deliver this dashboard, that's going to take some effort and time. It's not that you can't do it. It's not as seamless compared to where the single platform captures the data to begin with. So if I want to understand this month's expense by category, again, click of a button. I'll do this for this quarter. And there you go. And you can see I don't have much of an expense for the month of May. Let me go and create it. If I go in and say, I'm going to add an expense. And let's say today, purchase of A4 paper, $200 after taxes. I paid it to Amazon Inc. Coming out of my general account. Maybe I used my debit card, or I could have used a credit card. Okay. So the reason I bring this up is you can see here, printing and stationery of $200 has automatically shown up. This is not static data, or we're not waiting for end of month, end of week, end of day to give you this data. This is pretty much instantaneous. Yeah? So if you want to compare this and contrast it with your expense book, again, you can have this in different formats that's easy to understand, pie charts, bar graphs. And if I add another expense, you can see it's evolving with the data that's getting entered as well. And let me give it a different category, and I'll say this is office supplies. Even better than Law Society. May LSO fees. I'm just making a random number up. Maybe use an auto debit. I think we have something called as a pre-authorized step. Yep. Maybe this was earlier the week. Okay. The analytical engine, all you have to do is click go. Now you have the two sets of data. It tells you clearly, you can expand this as well, that 58% of this month's expenses went to the LSO, 41% of it went into printing and stationery. Just like the previous, again, I don't want to overkill the same concept, but if I were to show you the expense book, and let's say you compare this to the quarter, okay, you can clearly see the difference. Now you can have an understanding of printing and stationery. It's 41% compared to the 12% that you had overall for the month of this quarter, right? Okay. What else can we walk you through? So we spoke about P&L, and I can give you monthly, weekly, as you can see. You can pretty much say, okay, this is not what you want to hear. So let me go quarterly. There you go. For this quarter, operating in profit mode, that's the total profit. Tells you, compares you the income and the expenses. And you can compare this, the P&L, to the whole year. So I just clicked on yearly, and I clicked on go. And I can even pause this running statement. So we looked at revenue, we've looked at expense, and you don't even have to do the math. You just have to choose the right drop-down to give you the information that you're looking for. Okay? So I could have done the same document. As I said before, you could have run a P&L report that gives you the same data, but in a different formatted representation. Okay? Now, if you look at unbilled hours, so I'm moving slightly away from the very standard, typical information that you can otherwise get to a little bit more nuances. Unbilled hours chart by matter, I'll say for this month. So you have these two matters. So there's about an hour and a half of work that you put in for this particular matter. Those are unbilled hours. You can, of course, compare, contrast it, or date ranges if you wanted to. As I mentioned, my favorite, work in progress for this quarter. Okay. So here are the four matters with the duration of the days and the overall percentage of matters for which there are work in progress for this particular date range, this quarter. That is. Of course, using this information, you would then go back to these matters and convert the effort into docket, convert that into an invoice, and recognize the revenue. So a lot of the legal firms that we work with use this pretty much as a standard dashboard element in their analytics, is to always keep an eye on the work in progress. Of course, you can do that same work in progress report, right, as a report, right from our quick view. But if you just wanted to consume that information, here's a simpler, faster way to do it. is the same information, the 4 different matters that you're reviewing right here. Purchase of a house, Dan, account matter, and Adira. Okay? All right. Pro bono charts by clients. Very important. So let's say I do it for this quarter. Well, there's quite a bit of pro bono. Not really, eh? So it's about 1 hour for this particular client, Ava. If I were to compare this, of course, across the year, again, I think you get the idea. When does it really get interesting is when you're starting to apply these reports and analytics and insights using your own data. You could see across this year you've got Holly and Ava. Again, as I mentioned before, just like your expense details, this is evolving instantaneously as data enters in. If I were to choose a random matter, so let me go back into my dashboard, pick and choose, let's say, let me choose a different matter just for a quick second. Okay, let me say immigration to Canada. I'll use this immigration file. Let's say we're now adding a docket, and we've spent, let's say, 2 hours on it. We'll call it third meeting, and I'll make this 0. Okay. I can leave it as flat rate. I can leave this as billable time. That's left to you. But now if I go back and run this, hopefully you see that, and there it is. You do see the Ginny for 2 hours, which is really the matter we were working on. JK for Ginny, call her. And if I run this for the whole year, you're going to see the 1, 2, and 3. So, as you should expect, it's instantaneous reflection of the current running data as you save it. Okay? Invoice list. So this was a more pragmatic, analytical dashboard item that one of our client focus group had given us as feedback. So really looking at, so if you can look at details, you can see the total. They just wanted to give a quick count of the total invoices they've got. It's not the actual invoices themselves. That's a report, and we have that as well. But this is just how many invoices do I have for this date range. Okay. Okay. So now moving into slightly away from the legal accounting aspect to more like the business accounting piece of information. If I really look into my capital investment, don't see much information because not much really has been invested in this date range. Okay. That's fair. And let's see how much of drawings we've had this year. You've had close to 19,000 drawings by a single employee, Roger Moore. Okay? And this is action that's reflective of the data that's entered. So if you go in and add and inject capital, Just like how we injected expenses, we had revenue. As you enter capital into the system, that gets reflected in those dashboard items. So I won't bore you with the same concept. But the last one I want to show you before I move on to my matters and client-related analytics, I'll show you the unbilled. So this is a very important piece of information. So again, I reiterate, this is called the unbilled expenses by matter. Okay, so you've got only two, which is great. So it's important that you go into this personal injury and do the right thing of billing this client. So utilize the analytics, or keep in mind that the analytics is just-in-time, top-of-mind consumption of information. And it's the same data set that's also used for you to produce compliance and other formatted ways of representing that same data. Just like how we looked at an expense book, a revenue book, P&L report, so on and so forth. But the cool part of the analytics, especially in a web view such as this, is the ability for you to compare and contrast different data ranges. Now I'll draw your attention, if you want, into accounts, and we've got our analytics right here. So most of what you've seen so far are related to accounts because it really comes down to the financials. But let's say I wanted to understand a little bit more insight with regards to my clients, otherwise called contact within the uLaw database. There's two important insights we give you. One is the fee book, and you can do this for a specific client. Okay? If I were to look at Adam Brown, and again, you can be very specific to the matter. You can see right away this new matter for Quebec is now pending in terms of status. And that's all the information you can gather. Okay. I think what's important that I've seen a lot of people use, to be honest, is the aging. This is where a front office individual often uses this information, especially if there's a call from a client. They're able to quickly navigate to that person's matter and really see first and foremost if there's any. So for almost 947 days, this client owes you, over 2 years, unfortunate, about $610. So before I even start talking to Adam, I'm going to be bringing up this topic of, really what's happening. Now I could do this right from here, or I could do this from the contacts because we have that same. So you could, if Adam were to call your office, you can of course do it right from here. You can look at Adam Silverstone, right, and you can run the aging report, but they would not be in the same format as the analytics, unless you can draw, to be honest, the aging insight. Okay, and there it is. It's the same information. So you can draw these analytics right at a client level, or if you're looking to look at this at your own leisure, download the PDF document that tells you the last date of transaction. Of course, a little bit more meat to the data, right? But I'll go back to accounts. So under document generation and analytics, let's look at some of the matter or file-related analytical. So we have the top three. Okay. So it tells you the total invoice amount, any balances, there was a couple of our clients who really wanted to understand, like a timeline view, what's really happened to a matter. That's within our analytics, to be quite honest, in terms of the first thing that happened on 16th of or October 2017, and then came the matter, the retainer later that month. So this is really a complete life cycle of what's happened from the start of the matter till the end of the matter, right? So the last edited information was on 9th March 2020. So this kind of gives you an overall graph of, the navigation of different transactions within that matter. Okay. So really, in terms of the overall webinar, in terms of what I wanted to showcase to you today, is pretty much what I've shown you over the last 15, 20 minutes, is you already have the capability to pretty much draw out all of the information that's very particular to your own business when you use these features out of your own uLaw account. Again, if you're new and if you're looking to explore our systems, these are some of the capabilities that we provide over and above the core competence of Law Society compliance and ease of practice management. And as I mentioned before, we also provide the same flexibility of delivering these analytics right from our mobile phone. Yeah. Not sure if I'm going to be able to show that to you today. If I can maybe think of something here. Let me see if I can transfer my control. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can try this. Okay, so now you see me. That's my phone. I'm going to go into accounts. So this is my uLaw app that I've dialed into. And if you see the question mark right at the bottom, familiar charts, these are the same set of charts that I've just shown you, right? So if you really look at P-book chart, or let's do the same thing, pro bono chart by clients for this quarter. Comes down to internet speed and everything else. Just been a bit crazy for me. But there you go. Okay. I could draw the same piece of information for my expense for this quarter. And there you go. You have, again, what you can do is you could say I want not 5, but the top 6, or the top 7, top 8, etc. Okay? So this is, again, if getting to the web is hard because you are more a mobile-first person, then we give you the same set of data readily available right through our uLaw app. And if you want further insight with regards to a specific matter, you can do that as well. If you want to understand insight for the overall matters, you can do that as well. So this is pretty much insight across all matters. You have over 1,000 matters, out of which 328 are active, and you can just swipe left or right. Total active matters created, but inactive for the last 720 days, so it's something for you to take action on. Okay, so you do have a few matters that you may want to move to archive or closed. Okay, so there's a lot of data that we provide you with. Or if you have to go specific, you could just search up Adam Silverstone, just like how we did on our web version. And you can draw analytics specific to him by clicking the question mark. And this is very specific to this particular file. and all the information that you need. And this is the same information we looked at when we did it, when we looked at it in the web. Okay? So I'm glad I was able to show you this, because this is the capability for us to deliver analytics. And again, this is related to your clients. Similar to your overall matter insights, these are insights for your overall client. Very important, number one source of referral of clients. Again, this is a Law Society report, but for you, client referral and knowing that this is the top way in which you're making your leads come through, very critical, right? It clearly tells you have 78 clients from it, and we even say you've got to invest in referral. So maybe a referral system that helps motivate your existing clients and new clients to refer you to other friends and family. And the second source of client is family. You've got 58 clients from it. So you don't have to necessarily generate a source of contact report and then crunch the data. Rather, you can just review this real quick. Total number of clients, ghost clients. We had Michael Chang celebrating his birthday this month. It was yesterday, in fact. Because you could see a bit of a tennis buff. So you've got all of the top legends here. Okay. So insights and analytics, both on your mobile phone as well as your web. Same data set being converted in a different format for different stakeholder consumability. And that's pretty much everything we want to showcase in terms of our ability to use the same data that we capture, both from matters as well as expenses and other data entry vehicles that we get information into, and we transform that into, hopefully you accept that these are good-looking dashboard elements and insights that you can consume. Okay, I'm going to take back my ownership here. Okay, so going back to our presentation, and really the agenda for today was to showcase to you how best you can get a much better handle for the data in terms of visualization, in terms of the nuance of the data and the way it's being delivered, and some of the aspects of our analytics that we reviewed, right from revenue, expense, P&L, even to getting to pro bono and capital investment and drawing. Okay, so I'll definitely open the floor for any questions that you may have pertaining to today's webinar. I do have a few questions that are more specific to an individual's use case, and we certainly would take that offline and do our best to solve those problems right away. So thank you once again for being patient and being participant in this webinar. Please do use this moment to ask any questions that you may have with regards to today's webinar. Thank you. Yeah, the topic for today's webinar is Analytics and Insights, and it is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, but it's not accredited for any CPD credits. But hopefully it was your time well spent to give you a little bit of glimpse into the capabilities of the platform. Okay. If there aren't any more questions for me today, I will thank you for participating. And if there's feedback, please do use the links below to give us your feedback. Any new topics that we can cover, we'll be more than happy to do so. And if you want the videos to automatically show up, and again, it sounds so cliche today, please do like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel of uLawPractice so that every time we have a new non-CPD and most importantly CPD session, it automatically gets promoted to your YouTube list. And in fact, further to what we looked at, we do find the referral source kind of being the top performer for today's businesses across all businesses, including uLaw. And if you're a current customer and you believe there's value that we provide to you, and if you have anyone, friends or colleagues in the business that you think would benefit from our solution, we do offer a referral program, so you can always prescribe or subscribe to this referral program, and definitely would help us help you. Definitely get a gift card for referring us, and we thank you with a lot of gratitude. And your friend or colleague would certainly get that benefit of understanding our product. All right, friends, thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you in our next webinar next week.